Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of The Real Podcasters, the show where we're talking all things movies, TV shows, video games, and a bunch of other things in no particular order. My name's Regan, as ever, and I'm joined once again by my surprisingly lightly coloured co-host. I tried there. It's Dan. He's wearing red today.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, it's a red top. I think this is like the actual only red shirt I own.
I'm not going to lie, I think I only own one as well.
I'm pretty sure. It's not even like the correct size. It's absolutely tiny on me, but I just got given it for free, so...
That seems fair.
Yeah, the more you know.
Yeah, exactly. So technically it's been a little bit of a break, again, on the podcast.
Would you like to explain, or why?
Well, it's going to have to be me that explains it, because there's issues on my end, again. So, like, despite the fact that the broadband is fully fixed... as you can probably tell if you've been following the podcast on YouTube the last week, we've been putting out a few episodes on the weekdays. We're now up to episode 50 on that one. In fact, literally, we're recording the Halo 3 one today, and the Halo 2 one has just gone out today as well. So, but yeah, so we recorded for Man of Steel last week. Clearly, Audacity really wasn't a fan with the fact that we turned around and said the film was alright. So I thought, you know what?
Well, it was more or less, it just wasn't alright with you saying it was alright. It was fine with me. It was just,
well, it's always fine with you.
Hunky-dory.
I'm very offended by that, truly. So despite my best attempts, I was like, okay, I cannot get this fixed. So I figured I'd put out the other episodes onto YouTube periodically to accommodate the fact that we didn't have another episode. So yeah, that kind of explains that one. Again, just putting it on like a t-shirt or something, I'm putting it on like a poster, just so like technical issues may or may not be cancelled every single time. But here we are again with technically episode 57, technically 58 according to the script, but it's fine. It's fine, Dan.
Well, technically to be cancelled confirmed in case Audacity doesn't work again.
Yeah, I really don't like Audacity, as it turns out. Really hate it.
Yeah.
I haven't got anything else though. I'm not forking out the money to do what's the Adobe one? Audition or something like that.
Yeah, it's a membership though. That's the only issue.
Yeah, I'm not doing
and
that.
In today's time, it's a bit
expensive.
Aussie lives and all.
Yeah, well, luckily supporting this podcast is the cheapest thing you can do. That was a fantastic segue into trying to support the podcast.
That was a near like Spider-Man 2.
Satisfied. I know the scene. We all know the scene.
That was smooth. That was a
very
good
smooth
transition.
Yes. As ever, we're available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, Pocket Cast, Podbean, and Castbox, and YouTube again. We are slowly
after
getting
some
through
delay.
this. Yeah, after some delays. So this episode will go out on everything else first. It'll go up on YouTube once I've caught up with everything else. So that'll be about a week and a half, I think. Just for the sake of consistency, because trying to figure out the...
YouTube fans are finally happy now.
Well, to be honest... Well, considering the amount of views that the Dog Soldiers commentary got, that's already like one of the most popular episodes that we've done. So, thank you for that.
Oh,
actually,
I actually haven't seen that yet. Oh, I'm gonna have a quick look.
But yes, we're available on all of those. Most of them you can leave likes, you can subscribe, you can follow, you can leave reviews, ratings, all that sort of stuff. Share it around as well. Maybe you're not a fan of the podcast. That's absolutely fine. Don't know why you're listening then. But of course you can share it to everyone else. One of my friends from work, Jake, has started listening to it on Spotify, but literally from the beginning. So I think he got up to us reviewing the Batman. So episode 5 of that. Don't know why Jake, I don't know why you started there. To be honest, I would have started like episode 56 personally. But I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to judge too hard. But yes, you can support us on all of those, and as I say, it's the cheapest thing you can do for us.
It is.
It is.
And there's not a lot that's free nowadays.
No, it's not. But otherwise, we are talking this week about Halo 3, the conclusion to the original Halo trilogy, released back in 2007. We have already spoken about Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 2. There's a playlist on YouTube, and as I say, available everywhere else. Let's just get straight into it, to be honest. Let's not do any dilly-dallying or anything.
Dilly-dallying.
Dilly-dallying, because I am...
No beating around the bush.
Yeah, because it's been quite a while since we've obviously played a Halo game. Quite a while, actually.
Yeah.
Or at least together, I mean. Maybe it was like a week ago for you. Certainly wasn't for me. It's been quite a while. I've had next to no time. But again, with the franchise like Halo, which I've played just constantly as a kid, pretty easy to talk about, quite frankly. So for those who haven't played this game, as I say, a conclusion to the original trilogy, featuring the Master Chief once again taking the battle to the Covenant, who are trying to turn on every single Halo ring, which seems a bit overkill.
Something like that, yeah.
Literally, no pun intended. But yeah, he's got to stop them because that's what the player has to do.
Because that's just Master Chief, and anyone who basically tries to turn on a Halo ring is, well, dead meat, really.
Very much so. I am curious on your thoughts, because as I say, it's been quite a while since we both did the legendary run.
Yeah, it's been
Quite
a little
while.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is the first proper Halo game I played, like, ever.
Okay.
I know I mentioned, like, I played Halo 2 very briefly at, like, this youth club thing, but I wouldn't count that as, like, my first ever Halo playthrough, because it was, like, a multiplayer thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was, like, no campaign or anything like that, so Halo 3 was actually the first Halo game I properly sat down and played. It still continues to be, to this day, my favourite Halo game. It's phenomenal. I would happily just sit, like, now and just run through the campaign again. And I've played through that campaign, like, no joke, like 20, 30 times in all my years of playing games.
No, I played this game after Reach. So, for me, it felt like a downgrade, even though that's a bit unfair because I'm coming at it backwards. And I don't mean... I purely just mean from a release, like...
Yeah.
kind of state. Also, I miss the ability to sprint. I know that was always a controversial addition to the Halo franchise because you weren't able to sprint in any of them until Reach. But Chief still feels quite heavy as he's lumbering along.
Yeah, the only way you can really kind of maneuver fast enough is if you just start jumping everywhere, really. That's the thing about the trilogy, at least. Like, he can't run.
No.
You just kind of got to hop everywhere.
Yeah, he just kind of feels like he's wearing moon shoes every single time.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is easily the strongest of the three. I think the narrative is way more consistent than the previous two. The pacing is way better, save for one mission, which we all know we will get to. Gameplay wise, I think it's like a perfect balance of what the first two games did. Graphically, it's alright, to be honest.
I mean, like, it's nothing like compared to, like, the likes of, like, Halo 4 and stuff like that. But again, this is like a game from, what was it, like, 2007?
2007.
2007, yeah. So, I mean, but for the time, it's still very good. I mean, graphically, it's better than Combat Evolved and 2 in 1. I mean, talking about original graphics, not like the remastered ones.
Yeah. It's just a bit of a shame that since we've had all the remasters of the previous games and then going into the other ones, the Halo 3 graphics have kind of just been left in a weird bit of wilderness where it's just all like...
I don't know why they didn't... Like, they remastered, like, all the older ones, and I would have thought, like, 3 would have been included in that. I mean, sure, the graphics are fine, as you say, but I would have liked a little, like, uppity to it, you know? I think it could have done
I kind of assumed that when 2017 rocked around, they would have done a Halo 3 anniversary thing, but...
Yeah, because it would make sense with it being 10 years and that.
Mm-hmm. But no, we just didn't.
Unless they didn't.
But yeah, overall, it's still a really satisfying game, to be sure. But it's not my personal favourite of the franchise. We'll get to that in a few games' time. I'm saying a few because that could be 2. It could be 3. It could be Halo 5. No, it's not. Obviously not. Like, good lord. So how much of the development of Halo 3 are you aware of? I'm guessing absolutely nothing.
Pretty much zilch. Excellent. In all honesty.
That's
because I kind of just wanted to play the game, really. When it comes to looking into, like, game development and stuff like that, I'll only really look into, like, Alien Isolation and stuff like that, because I know there's like a book of like the artwork and stuff like that, how like generated and stuff like that. I've got that, but I'm actually surprised I don't know a lot about Halo 3, considering it's like my all-time favorite game, Halo game at least.
Yeah, that is curious. I mean, we have already spoken about the development of the previous two. Absolute nightmare, to say the least. Like everything was going wrong at every single turn. Production-wise for this one was decidedly smoother. Bungie were determined to win back the fans with the conclusion, given the way the Halo 2 ended. But also Bungie were very upfront with the development side of things. They always had weekly updates on their website, which I thought was quite nice, because you don't really get that with studios nowadays. They keep it very, 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 very much lock and key.
Yeah, it's definitely a very lock and key with game studios. Like, I mean, especially with games that go into like, what's the term? Sort of
development
like
hell.
Yeah, like they're in development, like they're just released sort of thing. There is a proper term for it. I can't just remember what it is though. It's like pre whatever. I don't know what it's called. But you often see like updates like every month or so. It's like with patch fixes and stuff like that. But it's kind of nice that if Bungie just do that every week or so.
Yeah, exactly. That being said, the first trailer for the game didn't drop until like middle of 2006, and then the first proper images from the campaign didn't appear until like a couple of months before the game actually released. So they were still quite secretive, despite the fact that everyone knew what this game was going to be. There were still some drawbacks. There were quite a few creative leads leaving like before and during production, so for a while there was no clear person in charge of developing the story. So they're sort of like, well, what are we going to do? Let's just put some trees here, we'll put the chief there, he can blow up a grunt over there. Yeah, game, the end. It can be Finn. Like a mini game instead. Yeah, Finn. Obviously it was sorted, but it did look like it was going to go the same way as the previous two. I would say that in terms of comparisons to the previous game, this one feels a little bit safer than with Halo 2, which very much tried to just reinvent everything in like every single mission.
Yeah.
To varying degrees of success.
It actually means you can go out and actually kill things without dying every like 5 minutes.
Is this like a reference to like the jackals at the end of the street that just keep on shooting you? Especially on legendary
entire
difficulty.
goddamn game, because just Halo 2 is just stupid.
It isn't the worst somehow though. Like you haven't got to the worst one yet.
I'm sure the worst one you're referring to is probably not as bad as I'm gonna think it is.
Nah, I disagree. I disagree.
No.
But yeah, as I say, it's definitely a lot safer. As I say, gameplay is a lot more balanced than the previous two. The pacing and the gunfights feels a little bit slower than Halo 2. And as I say, I do kind of wish there was a sprinting option after starting out with Reach. And it's since remained for the entire franchise. I don't think there's been a game since that hasn't given you the ability to sprint.
No, I don't think so.
But we'll get onto that story. So, after that dumpster fire of an ending in Halo 2, we've got...
Dumpster fire.
I'm being generous.
Yeah, you are being very generous with that ending.
We've got the Master Chief landing on Earth, realising he can't fly, and just crashes into... I think it's set in Africa, actually, for like most of the game, weirdly.
Just crashes into a jungle.
He just crashes into a jungle, as you do. And then reteaming with the UNSC, who have allied themselves with the elites, very much set up at the end of the last game, where the elites were becoming very much disillusioned with the Covenant. And as I say, they've got to stop the Covenant from wiping out like every single life form. See, this is me getting very nitpicky with this sort of like plot points in a game or really anything where the villain's going to wipe out everything in sight. And I'm sat there thinking, right, once you've done that, once you've killed everything, what's step 2? What are you actually going to do?
That's what I would love to know.
Like, what's going to happen with music? Are we going to get Covenant music next? Covenant films? Covenant sports? Covenant parliaments? Well, obviously, Covenant, that's just its thing.
Well, I mean, yeah.
But I always find that funny whenever I say that. It's like, oh yeah, we plan on wiping out everything. I'm like, yeah.
And
what's
next, taking the stage at the high, whatever you call it, high charity is the ship called? Yeah. Next, taking the stage at high charity is 3 grunts and a brute.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because no offense, you're gonna get bored really quickly because there's nothing else at all.
You know, they're gonna just start doing like covers and that. You got little like grunts just on like those like drums just doing Toto's Africa.
I'm sure there is moments in later games where you can see grunts just sort of like sitting there, just sort of like minding their own business, and they're just singing, and it's quite sad, to be honest.
I mean,
nothing really to say on that one. Singing grunts.
Well, they're either singing or running in terror or just blatantly trying to kill you. It's one of the three.
But yeah, anyway, as I say, they're going to wipe out every single life form, so obviously the stakes are pretty low.
Stakes are pretty low.
Yeah, pretty low.
Nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I mean, bar 1 or 2 missions towards the end, Halo 3 I think still remains the best campaign of the 3. Far more consistent than the previous, and just on an emotional level, I actually cared just a little bit, which I couldn't say for the previous two.
I mean, there's nothing to really care about in the first one. The second one, you're just so sick and tired of dying, you just don't care at all. In the third one, you actually do give a little bit of a damn, which is good. You know, the game has done the right thing here. And the best thing about Halo 3 is there's no long corridors of corridors of corridors.
Well, exactly. That's one thing I do appreciate, is that there's no copy-paste rooms. There is technically one, but not really. It's kind of like a different kind of copy-paste, but there isn't any of that this time. So I very much appreciate that, because every mission feels very distinct from each other.
Yeah,
like
different and distinct.
Yeah, because even the opening level ditches being on like a space station or whatever, and you're now out in the open, in the jungle.
Yeah, you're literally like on future Earth, more or less.
Well, yeah, because you are actually, because this game does do what Halo 2 didn't really deliver on, which is fighting the Covenant on Earth. Because you didn't get that in the previous game. You had that for 2 missions and then you sort of ran away.
Yeah, pretty much.
Here, like the first half-ish of the game is all set on Earth, which is great. That being said, there's not much in terms of like humans or like civilization at all. It's just ruins and
not really.
Jungles, and industrial estates.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much civilization kind of hinted toward it. I mean, it's done better in 3 in ODST.
Yeah, that game does a better job
in
of
a
that.
city.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whereas this is kind of just on some jungle-esque planet, really.
Yeah. So yeah, as I said, definitely the most satisfying campaign of the 3. That being said, there is certain characters that make truly baffling decisions at the end of their life. That I don't care for at all. I think it's like properly like manufactured tension, as I call it. Where it doesn't feel very earned at all. It just feels like it's just...
And who might these characters be?
Well, we will get to that, Dan, when we get to the ending, because both of them do it in the same mission. It's the rare time I'll get annoyed with this game. But yeah, either way, despite those issues, it's definitely still the strongest of the 3. Obviously, we're once again playing as the Master Chief, the most human character in the entire game.
The humanest of the human.
Which is ironic, because he says nothing. Still. You know what it is? I really like the fact that this is one of the praise I'll give to 343 over Bungie, that at least with Chief, he feels like an actual person. I mean, we have said this in the previous episodes where we've covered this franchise so far. Chief is a more interesting character in later games than he is under Bungie.
Oh yeah, it's just
Like-
a cardboard blowing avatar.
Yeah, and it's still a case where outside of a cutscene does not say a word at all.
Nah, and even the cutscenes, you're not exactly setting much up. Like,
Yeah.
some of them anyway.
Yeah, so I mean, as I say, Chief still remains mostly silent. Like his personality is still very much a case of rock up, do mission, kill alien, bugger off. It's just that. Every
Yeah.
single mission. And
That's the arc.
I've just simplified Halo for you. Just rock up, do mission, kill alien, bugger off.
Yeah, I mean, the only
That's-
changes with the first one, it's bust way out of drop pod, do mission, kill alien, and then
off.
it's all the way through that till the end.
Very much so. So yeah, I am glad the future installments do give a bit more humanity to the Chief than they do here. Though of course he's not the only character you play as. Once again, you do play as the Arbiter, sort of, in that you only play as that character when you're playing co-op with someone else.
Yeah, now see, I can shed light on this because me and my little sister used to absolutely boff Halo 3. Like, we have a lot of fond memories of Halo 3. We used to have an absolute blast with that game. And it's kind of weird compared to Halo 2 because, like, when you do Halo 2, obviously you do missions where you play as the Arbiter. But in this, like, you only play as the Arbiter if you're doing co-op, because it kind of makes sense too, because you're not having missions centered around the Arbiter. Like, the Arbiter's just always at Chief's side in this game for 99% of the time.
And I like how it's just not like another Chief clone that just randomly appears.
Oh, yeah.
I never liked. I really never liked that at all. But to be honest, I didn't realise that you'd play as the Arbiter in co-op because I didn't have anyone to play co-op with, so I just played it myself. Guilt trip.
That is somewhat sad. But
Somewhat sad. That's just me.
that's just me.
Yeah, that's just me. But obviously, destroying all the Halo rings isn't the only thing that the Master Chief is doing. He's also looking for Cortana because he's lonely. He's like a dog looking for his owner.
Yeah.
That's pretty accurate, actually.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I'm not.
You're
wrong.
really not wrong.
So at the end of Halo 2, like her future is very uncertain because she makes stupid character decisions, as everyone does in that entire game.
My name's Cortana and I'm gonna torment the Gravemind, because why not?
Yeah, just so like, yeah, I've suddenly decided I'm just going to be a dick to him for like the rest of this game.
Yeah. And
Which,
then
although
because I'm
saying
trapped here,
that-
now Chief has to come and rescue me.
Yeah, because I mean, in fairness, that does seem like very much her type of thing to do, is to just be a dick to them for like years on end. But yeah, so Cortana doesn't really officially appear until the second to last mission of this game. Otherwise, she keeps on flickering up in Chief's visor, spouting some like biblical nonsense or something.
Yeah, usual kind of maniacal nonsense.
Yeah,
I think even one point she starts like referencing like her like identification and stuff like that.
Ugh.
It's like it's UNSC like AI whatever number something. Like, oh, okay, you're kind of off the rails a bit.
I really hate the flickering bits that just pop up
It's
randomly.
annoying.
Yeah, because it just slows everything down because you can't actually.
Yeah, like it's really annoying when you're doing a mission in particular, and this isn't just one particular mission; it's multiple. When you just want to get on with the mission, especially like those missions that involve like vehicles, and you just want to explore what this mission has to offer, and then you get in a cave and like all this flickery stuff, and you can be jumping really fast, and you just stop and you walk like a snail. Like,
well, that's that. It's
Cortana.
like I know he slows down. If you're playing co-op, does that still happen to the other player?
Yeah.
See, because I thought it'd be quite funny if it doesn't happen to whoever's playing as the Arbiter, and they just sort of look to the side, and there's just Chief who's just really slowed down randomly.
Yeah, it's like really super slow-mo.
Yeah.
I'm sure it happens in co-op as well.
Yeah, but as I say, they just end up becoming extremely annoying, and as I say, the dialogue is pretty naff. It is satisfying to see them together again towards the end, but even if it's built off an ending to the previous game that felt unearned, and it's in a mission. This is easily one of the worst in the entire franchise. We'll get to that. Actually, not saying that. I mean, like I'm saying, we'll get to that. We are actually going to get to that. It is the next point. It is actually the next point of the script.
That wasn't so smooth of a transition.
No, it wasn't very smooth. I'm sorry, Dan. I've very much ruined it. I've ruined the illusion.
I was going to do quite a hot Star Wars take there, but I thought I better not. So let's just.
Oh no! Please do. Go on.
No, let's move on.
I'll be coming back to that later.
I was going to just say how J.J. Abrams ruined Star Wars, but hey,
that's not a hot take.
It's the truth.
That is just a fact.
It's the truth.
Well, you ruined it with one of them. So, you know.
I mean, you kind of did all three of them, in all honesty.
Shut up. But yeah, so every Halo game has their worst mission. That's just a thing.
Yeah, that's just fact of these games. That every Halo game does have that one mission that is just quite frankly a pain in the arse.
Yeah, let's
It's
get
the nettle sting on your arm. It's the rusty needle on your bum. It's
that's a bit much.
bee sting on your nose.
It is, of course, Cortana.
Yeah.
Kind of trudging through a high charity, like for what feels like 75 years. It's kind of, you know, I might be reaching a little bit in terms of how long it takes, but it certainly feels like it's.
No, it does. It does feel like you're just trudging through this flood-infested council chamber for what feels like an absolute decade, especially when you've got those really, really annoying flood forms that morph into different flood forms.
I maintain, actually, I think the worst one of the three is actually that I can't remember the specific one, but it's the one that likes to hide up on the ceiling and shoot at you as if it's like
shoots
a turret.
Needles at you. Yep, it's the absolute worst, and those things on Legendary are an absolute bastard.
Yeah, the swear jar is out in force on episode.
That mission,
57.
honestly, if I had a swear jar for that mission on Legendary, I'd have multiple swear jars.
Yeah, you would be rich.
Yeah, I would. I'd be so bankrupt myself, but at the same time making myself rich because it's all my money in the jar.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I hate those things so much. On every mission that involves those, like, screw everything else, you just prioritize those little buggers and you just kill them as quickly as humanly possible, because if they morph into those little gits and go up high somewhere, you're not going to have a fun time.
It's just ridiculous that 3 games and 3 attempts at trying to make the Floods like an interesting adversary or even enjoyable to fight, and they just make them a
pain in the ass.
Like, honestly, the only time I've found the Flood enjoyable to fight, and this is technically a cop-out, it's a cheat, but it's the Flood forms in Infection in Halo 4. It's the only time, because it's not because it's not... You know what I mean? It's so weird how they've not been able to do it. Maybe they shouldn't have done it. I'm thinking that, to be honest.
I do prefer the Flood in this game over the 2, but I mean...
Yeah, Cortana
is an annoying-ass mission.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can say that the most enjoyable in this game.
I don't know what, like, Bungie's obsession is with, like, tying the Flood to, like, the hardest missions in Halo games.
Yeah, it's not even a case where that's one of the reasons that I don't like them, because they're always in the most difficult missions, because the Covenants are in the other ones.
Yeah.
It's just this one is just so meandering.
Yeah, and it's pretty tedious.
And this is the closest that we get to a copy-paste room, because everything in the ship looks identical. Cause it's all...
Yeah, there's a lot of flood blobs everywhere.
Yeah, it's like the inside of a pumpkin across the entire ship. Yeah,
quite literally.
And it's not interesting at all.
I will also say that if you did the skulls, it's one of the most annoying skulls to get as well.
I'll confess, I have never specifically done a playthrough of the game to look for the skulls at all.
Oh, I did, like, pretty much on my, I think I gave the second or third playthrough just to kind of do it, because it was something else to do, really.
Yeah, I mean, especially if I'm already playing on a really high difficulty, I'm not going to suddenly go looking for things that are just going to make it even more difficult.
Oh, yeah. No.
Like, the only ones I look for, the fun ones, like the confetti explosion one. I always like that one. Yeah, oh yeah, it's fun. I'm sure there's another one somewhere. I think there's I mean, it's one that doesn't do anything, but it's, I think I like
it's like a dialogue skull.
Yeah,
and basically, like, they say like certain catchphrases and stuff like that.
Oh,
it's like rare dialogue becomes more common or something like that. I think that's the like description of it.
Because, you know, clearly I just want my game to be easy, as opposed to if you throw a grenade, the other one will either catch it and then throw another one, or just jump out of the way and then throw another one.
Or you throw a grenade and it does a Michael Bay style explosion.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
They are highly realistic to his brain.
But yeah, I mean, Cortana is a mission. Definitely the least fun mission in that game.
Yeah, I'm sure that when we were doing the playthrough, we got to that mission and we're like, do we have to do it? Like, do we actually have to? Yeah. I mean, yeah, to get the achievement because we're sad like that. But do we have to? Do we really? Could we get someone else to do it? No.
Ugh. I mean, the first Flood mission you do I quite like, because that actually feels quite scary at times.
That one I do like, to be honest. That is actually quite a good one. It's the closest that the Flood have gotten to actually being like an actual
remotely
threat.
Interesting.
Yeah, remotely interesting, even though it's like, oh no, what is that ship that just crashed? And you're like, we're in the same year in all three games. We know exactly what it is. Like these games take place over a week or something.
Yeah.
Just like, a week is the Master Chief. I attacked those Flood 3 times.
Dear diary.
You know, it is a joke. I'm pretty certain it is like a week or 2 or something.
Yeah.
Just
basically, it's like I just imagine him having like a little pocket journal, and like between missions, he's just like sat on a ledge, just expressing his feelings.
He's like, I lost Cortana.
I hit that
again.
Flood form 72 times with a Grunt's own pistol, and he still got up.
It's such a weird decision to make, though. It's like I haven't seen anything recently where it's like an entire trilogy takes place in such a short span of time, but then released 6 or 7 years like all together. It's so weird.
It's kind of odd.
That being said, I do like the year 2552. It does have like a satisfying ring to it.
Oh, it does, like, yeah.
And then like as soon as you got to Halo 4 and it was 2557, you're like, this doesn't feel right.
This feels hideous.
This feels wrong.
This feels unnerving.
Like, I'm sure even Halo Infinite, either 2559 or 2560, and I'm like, oh, we're in really uncharted ones. Again, that's like a major nitpick to be like, I don't like the year.
I don't like the numbers.
I don't like it.
Nah, I think the first Flood mission you do is probably the only decent one across the 3 games, which is just...
That really says a lot.
In truthfulness. Yeah, because every other mission you do with the Flood, particularly in the old games, is just copy and paste rooms. Mm-hmm. That's it. And in Cortana, it's just very tedious and annoying.
And some. Yeah.
And you've got like high, giant spore flood things that just clench to the ceiling and just don't stop shooting you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not fun at all.
Nah, not the slightest.
Which is something I can't say for the final mission, aptly titled Halo.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh no, Halo's a very fun mission. Besides the beginning, especially if you're playing on a higher difficulty, because it's quite annoying. Well,
it's fun, but it is filled with some of the most stupid moments, I think, in the entire game, which we'll get to now. As I say, it is full of like great action set pieces, and it's a feeling of finality that the previous 2 games didn't have. Like, especially when you get to the end with the Warthog, that's still really satisfying. That being said,
before we get into the nitpick, can we just also admit that the stuff in the Warthog with the skull over the top of it is just next level?
I was going to reference that in the score bit, but yeah, it is absolutely fantastic. Like, it really is. Yeah, okay, sorry, we'll get to that later. We can get to it in this mission, it's fine. So, I said earlier, like, this particular mission is filled with just side characters left and right being killed off.
Yeah.
And it's one of those weird things, because I don't really have an issue with characters having an unsatisfying death. That's actually fine for me, because that can still feel like a kick in the teeth, because people don't always have like a satisfying end. That's
well,
just
yeah,
the
they
thing.
don't always have like the typical heroic death. Sometimes it can just be totally out of the blue and can be as blatant as getting shot in the heart or something like that. You know, it doesn't have to be like you have to run. Somebody has to set off this manually. You know, one of those kind of things. It's just
yeah, it's whereas here, it's just stupid. Like,
whereas here, it's just stupid.
Where do I start? Maybe we'll start with one Miranda of Keys, who makes the actual decision with her brain to take a pelican, not like the bird, the ship, and fly it straight into the control room with nothing but a shotgun, and seriously thought that she was going to make it out. Absolutely fine. Like, your father was stupid. You, however...
are a whole new level.
You take the brute. Honestly, or rather, you take the energy sword. We will say that.
You take the absolute plasma pistol.
Yeah. That did not feel satisfying at all. It just felt like, I remember seeing that for the first time, and I'm just sat there thinking, oh my god, how are you in command of anything?
I definitely feel the same way, in truthfulness, and especially over the two previous games as well. You'd think that she would, you know, have a bit more sense. I mean, considering particularly in Halo 2's well-put dumpster fire of an ending, you know, she's quite...
yeah, she's just
different
dangling off a thing on like rope. And it's like, yeah, I planned entirely to be right here.
And in this, she's just like, yeah, screw it. I'm just going to fly a pelican in and just go in with nothing but a shotgun. What's the worst that could happen?
Like, it would be fine if she was planning on giving up.
Stupid deaths, they're funny because they're true.
Gonna have to do a horrible history thing at some point, you know. Gonna have to.
Bloody Miranda Keys. Eye roll.
Yeah. Eye roll, rip, all that sort of stuff. And even Johnson
Who's next?
as well. Yeah, Johnson. That entire thing with bloody 343 Guilty Spark, where you finally get to blow the sodding thing up.
Oh, I just wanted to crush that little ball between my hands. I really did.
Yeah, it's not very fun to constantly fire with like a Spartan laser. That's just rubbish.
Hit.
Yeah.
Ever since the library, I've wanted to just metaphorically smother that thing.
With what?
I honestly have. I've got a lot of repressed hatred for that little thing, so when it gets blown up, it's like, just Jesus. Satisfying. Like, I mean, Johnson's death isn't that great, but Guilty Spark's death, oh.
Yeah, it feels like the sort of thing where I can't speak for it in Game of Thrones because I didn't watch it past the first season. Whereas I think have you seen all of it now?
Yeah, I when I said that I had started rewatching it, it was more or less I needed reminding of it. I have actually watched all of it in the past, but I just could not remember if I finished it. I did actually finish it. Okay.
Because I feel like, especially in that last season, I feel like there's a lot of characters that just get binned off. Because,
it's kind of the typical thing in TV when it stretches over like 8 seasons. People get bored, and sometimes that death can be just out of the blue. You're killed off instantly, or it can just be like it's coming. You know, it's a satisfying end. But most of them are just pretty much binned off, really.
Yeah, I just don't like that, to be honest, in this, because, yeah, I don't need them to have a heroic death. I just don't need them to have a stupid death, frankly. Like, it's...
Like, of all the battles Johnson has been through, and he gets killed by a goddamn floating ball,
He gets killed by a Toclafane.
He does. He gets killed by a robotic beach ball.
That's actually funnier.
Because...
It's killed by a ball.
Yeah, an angry little ball.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? The guy drives a scarab tank and that and dies to a ball.
Yeah, exactly. He does use one of those, and it's really badass moments. Just not the case.
No.
No, it's not.
Total opposite.
There is still some satisfying moments. Again, I enjoy playing the mission. I don't necessarily enjoy the story bit of it. Even if it is quite satisfying. Just like little moments, like after the Prophet of Truth is finally killed. Also played by Terrence Stamp, which I didn't realise until years later, as in Zod. Bloody Zod.
Oh, okay, that actually kind of makes sense now, because I'm hearing like his voice and Zod's voice now.
I've heard mixed reactions from people on the voice acting for him in this one, but I like it. It's fine. Even if he is just like a really weird looking alien. Like, I never found it like very appealing. It just looks kind of...
He has kind of like balls.
I mean, yeah, but also his neck is... It's like he's trying to be a giraffe, but hasn't really gotten there yet.
It's a giraffe with a severe, like, neck issue, because it's kind of, like, long and then curved.
Yeah, think of it as like an elephant's trunk, but it just doesn't move.
But with an ugly-ass face on it.
It's an ugly-ass face, alright.
Yeah, I mean, the Prophet of Truth's death is probably the most satisfying thing in that game. I mean, like, yeah, there's other stuff as well, but in terms of, like, character deaths, yeah, definitely, because, you know, after his incy-wincy escape in H2, we'll call it.
H2.
Yeah, not referring to Halloween. H2.
Thank God.
Yeah. It is satisfying that the Arbiter does kill him for, you know, his order of basically, well, we just hate the elites now, so just go kill them all.
Basically. I mean, of course, like, the best moment in the entire game is, of course, the Warthog run, which...
Ooh.
I don't know if I don't say it's the best, like that, because technically they're just doing the first game again. And I think that's something that this franchise is...
I mean, yeah, it is copy and paste, but my God, it's so much better.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even just on the music alone... Like, I think the music in Halo 3, you know, I'll get to that in a second with the hit, but the music in Halo 3 is, like, the best of the three. Almost the best of the franchise. Gonna get to that. But it is still a lot of fun. And it's one of those rare times where even if you die and you have to go back, you're like, I don't mind, because I get to listen to the music again. Nice.
Yeah, it's not infuriating at all. Like, it actually is like, oh, you know, whereas, like, the first one... Because, you know, even if you just tap the Warthog on an edge, it just goes, whee!
Yeah, I mean, the controls for the Warthog in Halo 1 were garbage. Halo 2 yeah. Halo 3 is pretty spot on, to be honest. It's way better than the previous two. Not quite as intuitive as the later ones. In particular, Reach and 4. I think that's where, like, they nailed it. But it's still a lot of fun, even if it is just completely bonkers.
Oh, it is. It's just bonkers,
everything
but
is exploding.
It's brilliant bonkers. Oh yeah, like there's structures falling and just destroying pathways of Flood and Covenant. It's just brilliant.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely bonkers mission. It's just like they couldn't really think of anything else to do, so it's like they just made like a whole plane of just falling tiles, more or less. And you drive a Warthog across it.
It's literally Michael Bay's mind. It's just full of explosions. It's like, you get an explosion, and you get an explosion, and you.
Yeah, basically. It's like good tile, bad tile, really.
Yeah, and as I say, with that score absolutely helps.
Oh, yeah.
I think Marty O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore do their best work here. Easily the best of the three. I mean, you know, I still like... themes in the previous two games, but this one in particular,
it doesn't feel as epic, I think. Like the other games in the last mission, the score doesn't feel as epic as this one.
Yeah, it does get very, don't want to say quiet, but it's quite subdued, to be honest.
Oh yeah,
And very atmospheric as well,
Yeah.
especially in the first mission where like you fight the flood as well. Like the the score is really tense there.
yeah.
But then of course the Warthog Road music is just brilliant, like just absolutely spot on.
I think it's quite close. I mean, since I was talking about the score, I think my second bit of like score in the film, like my film in the game, is the mission, the Covenant, where you have the Hornets. And that is like my favorite Halo 3 mission, by the way. I love that mission so
I
much.
do also quite like that one. To be honest though, I really hate the Hornet. Like, I don't know what it is. But again, it's the problem with me is the fact that I played Reach before this. So I'm going from the Falcon to the Hornet.
Yeah.
In terms of flying creatures, that's just silly, because the Falcon is better than a Hornet. It's less annoying. But that is literally the case with the actual vehicle as well. Like the Hornet, just no matter how many times I play it, no matter how many times I use it, I always forget midway through flight which analog stick to use to actually move the thing.
Yeah.
It's just like, do I press this one? Oh, no, I've just kind of leapt out. Oops.
Yeah. That was definitely the case for me when I played a lot of Reach, and I'm like, obviously the control schemes are slightly different. So it's like, right, which stick is to move? Oh, I've just jumped out. Great.
Yep. I'm sure that happened a few times when we did like the legendary runs, and it's just me going like, wee, wee.
Yeah,
It's like,
because it
Regan,
was the
what are you doing?
it was the
It's like-
Covenant mission, because
Yeah.
as we all know, like in the last part of the mission before you basically storm in to take down Truth, there's two Scarab tanks you have to fight, and you can use the Hornets or the Scorpions or whatever to take down the Scarab tanks. I just remember like us getting the Hornets, and then like you go take one, I take the other, and then all I see is like the Arbiter's carrot just go whee, and then you just with an absolute load of profanity, it's like, oh, you
Oh, there was so much swearing in that. Oh my god. That is another reason why I've never thought let's do like a real podcast as Let's Play, because it's just going to be swearing constantly.
the most explicit episode the real podcasters have to date.
Oh my god. Well, first of all, it'll be the longest. Easily.
Yeah.
many, many, many years long. But yeah, it's the control scheme for the game in general is alright, but I actually appreciate the fact that on modern consoles you can actually alter the controls so that they stick closer to
it's
something
with
like
the
Reach.
Master Chief Collection. You can basically just change all of them to like Reach's control scheme or whatever control scheme you prefer.
Yeah, which I'm like, that's fine. I like that.
Yeah, that's better.
As opposed to the weird scheme of Halo 3, but there you go. Yeah, we spoke about the score. Graphics, I've already said. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It would have been nice to have a little bit of an update to them. I mean, I don't think it is entirely essential, but I think it just would have made a bit more sense, seeing as how you're remastering like the entirety of the older games, so why not do Halo 3 as well?
In terms of the multiplayer side of things, I can say a little bit more on it than I could in the previous games, but still not by much. Like, I still kind of skip Halo 3 multiplayer in the Master Chief Collection just because I just don't find it very interesting, really.
Yeah.
That being said, I spend a lot of time just on my own in the newly released Forge mode, which feels archaic compared to like the future versions, because you don't build any maps. You just add a box here, you can add a vehicle over here, you can point a gun over here. But even at that point, that still felt quite, it was quite a big deal.
Yeah.
But that being said, for me, like I said before, like the pacing of like the combat's significantly slower than 2, and you definitely feel that in multiplayer. It feels quite quiet, to be honest. There's no like big music playing. There's not like a lot of stuff going on. You just rock up, and then people just start shouting at you, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. I've never been like, I mean, I used to play quite a lot of like Halo multiplayer, but I mean, especially the older games like Combat Evolved and 2's multiplayer side, like the multiplayer stuff in that is quite limited.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's either like Slayer or like a couple others, like Capture the Flag or something like that.
I've only just started doing capture the flag on things. Like I never used to do that sort of thing. It never really interested me as like a game mode for some reason.
Yeah. But 3, I think there's a couple more. I know there's like Griffball and stuff like that, which I think was added in.
I do quite like Griffball, to be honest. That's quite fun.
Yeah, it is quite fun, just not really in Halo 3 because it's a bit annoying in Halo 3.
It's a bit crap.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to understand the logistics of using the gravity hammer as a weapon. Like, it just seems like a complete accident. Just like, we built a weapon that like completely breaks the laws of physics. Yeah, all right, we'll just make it a hammer.
Yeah,
just like make it a gun.
Why not?
Be perfect. It shouldn't, and they'll just go flying. It's brilliant.
Pew, pew.
But yeah, I think like the multiplayer is definitely stronger than the previous two. But as I say, I didn't play it often enough, and obviously the Forge mode started here.
I do really like some of the Forge stuff again. Like me and my little sister, we used to have a lot of like fun on the Forge maps, and some of them are like really like interactive as well. And like it seems like proper like silly to say compared to like what newer Forges, but like, you know, you have maps that could like open gates and stuff like that. Like it was just like wow at the time, you know. But it was like a big deal, as you said.
Yeah, it'll be interesting talking about Halo Infinite towards the end of the year when we talk about that Forge, if we do, because I've only done a little bit of it because it's actually really difficult. Like I'll give it to Reach and 4. They're quite intuitive. There's quite a lot you can do, but it's still quite simplified. Infinite goes all out. Frankly, you might as well be the developer of a Halo game. You can literally code.
Oh,
you can code it. You can use scripts and everything. Just like if you throw this grenade, this is what will happen. You can just change that. I'm like, that sounds amazing, but it's so complicated.
That sounds quite complex.
So, you know, I've got 6 months to figure it out.
Yeah.
But yes, in terms of final thoughts, because I think we've said quite a bit about Halo 3 and not hated ourselves talking about it and reminiscing beyond falling out of a hornet 17 times.
Like, honestly, I just... You know, like, just when you thought you're making progress and your co-op partner is just flying around in the Hornet, and then all you see is just his little character go, whee!
Yeah, whichever of the two of us...
And then followed by Regan's classic lines, oh, you absolute beep, 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 beep!
Beep, 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 beep. Oh, I hated it.
Son of a bleep, 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 bleep. I can't believe I'm doing this, bleep, bleep.
Yeah. I'm sure I must have rage quit at some point. It's like, nah, Dan, I'm done.
Probably.
Tomorrow, see ya.
Probably.
But yeah, it's nice talking about a Halo game that we both actually legitimately really like. Despite me saying quite a few nitpicks, but that's just because that's just me.
I wouldn't say it would properly impact the game though. Like, it doesn't make you feel absolutely negative about the game compared to like Halo 2. Whereas like the whole game is just a nitpick.
No, definitely. But overall, I do very much enjoy this one compared to the 3. I do find myself playing it a bit more than the other ones, especially when I do eventually rock on the Master Chief Collection.
Definitely
I'm like,
the same.
Reach 4 or 3. Go with 3.
Yeah,
3 randomly. I'll just avoid Cortana like the Flood. I mean, like like the Plague.
It is just a mission that I don't get any sense of replaying out of. Like, I've only played it when I've absolutely needed to.
And in this case,
like, as in, like, doing the game on different legendary.
Yeah, just purely to get the achievement. I'm like, I don't need to do it again. Yeah. That's how sad it got, though. Just like, well, we have to do it because if we don't, we won't get the achievement for completing it later.
And I suppose that if you didn't really do like the terminals and skulls, like collectibles and stuff like that, then you kind of have to again. But you don't have to do like the entire mission. You just sort of pick up the skull and that's it unlocked, and it's like, oh, mission done.
It's a shame you can't just go to Rally Point Bravo and just start it from there and then get it. Like, no, that's not how it works.
Nope. No.
Thank you, Bungie. You. You're just the worst. But this was supposed to be the final Halo game until Microsoft were like, you can go independent once you do 2 more games for us. And like, fine, all right then. Hence why we get ODST, glorified DLC, and Halo Reach, which that's coming later in the year. Later in the year, month or 2. So yeah, we will get to Halo 3 ODST at some point. Maybe we should finish it as well, because we haven't done that yet. Was that like a horrible question? Just like, yeah, it wasn't all, but yes, it was clearly. But yes, that's been our thoughts on Halo 3. Nice to talk about. It's fine. We like it. Talking about ODST at some point, that's going to be interesting. That's not going to be next week, though. Next week, we're going to be delving back into one of our little discussions, one of our top 5 rankings. This time, probably going for hot takes again, because that's just what we do now, with the top 5 film trailers of all time. So not of the year, because there's been a few stinkers.
Just a few.
A few, and I'm talking about just the trailers. I'm not talking about the films. So that says a lot. But yes, that will be coming up next week. So thank you very much for listening. Really hope you enjoyed it. Until then, it's goodbye from Dan.
Bye. Ta-ra.
And it's goodbye from me. Bye.